It is 13 hours 37 in Guyana and right across the Eastern Caribbean. You're listening to us right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 FM in Demerara and Essequibo and 99.5 FM in Berbice, online at kaieteurnewsonline.com, and of course via our Facebook page, Kaieteur Radio. And you can watch us live on YouTube at Kaieteur live stream. It's time for us to bring to you today's edition, the Thursday edition of Wake Up Guyana. And joining us, of course, at the helm of the program is senior journalist Leonard Gildarie, and he's also joined by senior journalist Kiana Wilberg. Gentlemen, lady, good afternoon to you.
Good
Yes,
afternoon. Thank you.
yes. Good afternoon. And today we privileged, very privileged to have with us here the very busy Kian Wilberg. And if you would have been reading Kaieteur News, and which I know that all Guyana and everybody joining us would have been doing, you know the word, you know the name Kian Wilberg. But we're going to come back to that in a little while. Let's get right down into the hang of things today. It is August the 6th, 2020. It's the fifth day, and we would have been counting down how many days it was since that March the 2nd elections. We've gone a step forward. We counting how many days now since the swearing in of a new president in Guyana, President Irfan Ali. And so it is the 6th day since he would have been sworn in, and many things are happening. Like, for example, yesterday there was the announcement that there was an appointment of a number of persons to look into the financial health and to assess the health of 19 agencies, government agencies, state agencies. And what we're hearing so far, the news is not so very good when it comes to the financial health of that. So, Kiana, who's done with myself lots of work into the finances of Guyana starting back as way back in 2015, when the then coalition government, new in office, would have ordered several audits into state agencies. We've seen 5 years later, it seems as if it is a mirror almost, or it's deja vu all over again. So let us have a little discussion a little later on that. But I must tell you, this morning a number of ministers would have been getting the feet wet right on the ground. Charles Ramson at the Ministry of Youth, Culture and Sport, Colin Crowell, and his junior minister there, Susan Rodriguez. And of course, you would have had that is at the Ministry of Housing, Central Housing and Planning Authority. They would have had meetings based on photographs that we would have been seeing. Of course, the Ministry of Education, you would have had Minister Priya Manikchan meeting with staffers there. So they are getting into the hang of things, and it's the 6th day. This morning, we would have also learned former crime chief Wendell Blanham would have made a splash with a number of high profile cases that he would have solved back leading up to 2015 there. He would have fell out of favor with the coalition administration, removed and then sent into the hinterland areas. He's back as crime chief, and the former PRO, Mr. Jairam Ramlakan, is going to be the new commander, police commander in Region 1. And so we are going to be bringing you that. In the meantime, a few hours back, we would have learned that following an announcement by President Irfan Ali, several COVID 19 uh, uh, these are emergency supplies for the COVID 19 fight would have arrived in Guyana via special flight. And it would have been significant amount, almost more than 5,700 N95 masks and over 300,000 surgical masks, 46,000 rapid testing kits, and you would have heard that there was a plan to ensure that we have these tests right across this nation to understand where we are at with this COVID 19 pandemic fight. There would have been more than 5,000 gloves as well. CARICOM and SEDIMA, as well as WHO, the JACMA Foundation, as well as the United Arab Emirates Foundation, the country in itself would have been donating these stuff. And in the meantime, on the local side of things, the market vendors at Starbucks are complaining that they're locked out, yet being forced to pay their dues to city council. What is happening there? City council mayor you Brads and Ryan, the people are complaining, so we need to have some attention to that. In the meantime, let's get straight down into the Kaieteur News front page because this is where the discussion is going to lie today on a number of top stories. Don't miss it because it is interesting, some of the stories that are coming up. 1.6 billion Ocean View Hospital, an absolute disaster. Full investigation to be carried out. This is the new health minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, and he had some not so pretty words when it comes to the situation. What he says that he saw at that hospital there. And of course, we came to the big swearing in yesterday. Lots of interesting things there, Guyana. When you would have seen the faces, when you would have looked at the youthfulness and so on. Of course, it came with the necessary criticisms that you would normally see whenever a cabinet is sworn in. He is not good, she is not good, he's not qualified, she's not qualified. Comes with the territory. 15 new faces joined PPPC cabinet, and this is the finance minister yet to be named. We are going to have a discussion on that very shortly. CARICOM chair defends interference in Guyana's political situation. This is Ralph Gonzalez. And you know, he, as well as Mia Motley, as a former CARICOM chair, as well as several Caribbean leaders, would have come under a frontal attack from the coalition and supporters over their role in demanding that there be a recognition of the recount results, among other things. Special team appointed to investigate 19 state agencies, and we did discuss this. We're going to come back to that because we want to know how the monies were spent. This is normal whenever a new government goes, and you want to know the state of each ministry, the state of each state agencies and companies. Granger and Ramsatan views out new PPPC's cabinet, not totally unexpected. We would have talked about that. Forensic audits to be done on all COVID-19 spending. Attorney General Adelan Bricken at NISIL SPU office at LBI. This is a very strange story here. It's in a gated community, that is at the LBI factory compound there along the East Coast, where the sugar estate once was before it was closed, and SPU NISIL would have set up a little office there. How did somebody know that there was a large amount of cash there? But somebody knew there was anything else missing. We are going to continue to follow the story just days after, and with the fact that NISIL SPU would have played a role in the divestment as well as the privatization of 4 sugar estates, as well as the lands that came along with that. It would have been something viewed by many as being suspicious, the timing of it. So we are going to continue to follow this story. Police, Army to play a bigger role in COVID fight. DCMO, fully agree with this. I think the Army should be put to the border areas. We've been hearing many people coming across being smuggled, placed in minibus, being taken down here, putting our people at risk. We have to protect our people. Our contracts will be scrutinized. The new public works minister, and this is no other than Bishop Juan Edgel. So we are going to, he says that he's going to look at these contracts, several large contracts, vicinity of hundreds of millions of dollars given out, saying that it's illegal. They're going to look into it. Regardless of who's in office, demand transparency for the oil sector, exports, oil, Guyanese, and of course, oil. We can't get away that this is in our backyard. We could become very rich with it. How do we manage what is there? How do we get a better deal? So we have to export. Guyana, you've been around for a little while, and you know, and let me say something. Kaieteur News over the last couple of years, and if you don't know the people and you can't put a face, we will be bringing them out. Guyana has been one of them that has really educated Guyanese, educated myself. Many things I didn't know, like for example, the course of oil. Some people would look at it because when you look at the benefits of many country, third world country, what it's done for them. Some of the stories that came out that really would say, wow, we have to get it right. And of course, she would have had a look at the contracts and so on. I did a lot of work, lots of late night that she would have done, getting into the actual contract, going through it and making comparisons and so on. She led the team with that. And so here you are, Guyana, 2 big news here. 19 state agencies, because you've done a lot of work with corruption for the newspaper with myself. And of course, your work in the oil reporting. what is it that this new government on the Irfan Ali is facing here?
Well, Leonard, and before I get into that, I'd just like to say thank you for having me on today's program. And you're right, this is one of the most important challenges, one of the most important issues facing the President Irfan Ali administration. And if we are to just take a step back as to what occurred in 2015, the APNU administration at that time had given out some contracts for forensic audits to be done. And many of those audits, what was revealed is that there are gaping loopholes. There are so many areas of mismanagement of our resources. But what was most striking for me is that along with the mismanagement that was exposed and the corruption that was exposed, we did not see a lot of accountability. And I think that's what we need to see from the Irfan Ali administration, because if we're just going to highlight the problem and not take the necessary steps to close the loopholes and to hold those who perpetrated the acts accountable, then we're going to be perpetuating the same cycle. We're setting ourselves up for any resource that we have, any revenue earning commodity, to continue to be part of that cycle where there's poor management of the resource. It's not bringing the most value to the Guyanese people. And we're losing so much more. And when we lose so much, we end up going to the multinational institutions like the Inter-American Development Bank for loans, when instead of going to those institutions for loans, had we managed our own resources effectively, there would be no need for that. I mean, it's painful to see that Guyana is one of the most blessed countries in this region. We have gold, we have bauxite, we have timber, now we have oil, we have agriculture. There's no reason why we should not be a really self-sufficient economy, a self-sufficient country in every aspect. And so for the Irfan Ali administration, it's no surprise if they, in this assessment of the 19 state agencies, come upon a number of loopholes, come upon cases of mismanagement and corruption. That would be no surprise, because what we've seen from the APNU administration is that when the forensic audits revealed what the problem is, where the problem is, and who committed the act, nothing was done. There was no serious action taken where that is concerned. So for the Irfan Ali presidency, they will see those issues being highlighted, and it's now up to them to take it a step further by holding people accountable and also strengthening our institutions that are responsible for catching these acts of mismanagement.
And coming back to what we have, this thing yesterday, the statement that was issued yesterday, I think by the coalition, after there was an announcement that that the government has ordered or has appointed a number of persons. You have Chris Ram, who are respected, well known. Mm-hmm. You have Saston Ryan, and you have Nigel Hines. These are not people that are easy. Then you had Kit Nascimento, who would have been around. These are people who are going to be leading the way to look into the financial health of I think 19 state agencies. In 2015, you recall this is exactly what was done at that time.
Correct.
What is wrong with this picture? Why are we criticizing it?
Well, I wouldn't say that we're criticizing it, so to speak, Leonard. I would say that people have really taken a pragmatic and a holistic view of what took place. It is a step in the right direction, but as I would have indicated earlier, I think that we need to go beyond just finding out what's wrong or finding out what's the state of play here. If we don't do anything about it, if we don't take action, it's going to be perpetuated over and over. And an example or a testimony to this is the Auditor General's report. Year after year, he speaks about the recommendations for improving transparency and governance, and many of them are not taken on board. And when you examine some of the areas, many of the major ministries, you see that there are recurring issues that are yet to be dealt with. So it really comes back to, but even before we get to that, I really think that any move that is in the direction of exposing corruption is the right step for any government. I don't think that this is a move that should be criticized until it is allowed to play itself out, and then we see, well, where were the faults, where could have the auditors improved, etc.
Well, let's see where that goes. 19, and based on, I did had some interactions with some officials, top officials within the government, and they're extremely worried. This morning, a couple of ministers started meeting with the staffers. Let's hit the ground running. And it is a 6 day, and we need to see some actions. But what they're saying is that the kitty jar is empty. And so we don't know until you're right. Coming back to 2015, I think a lot of people wanted to hear, because there was accusations that the government was corrupt, and you wanted to have, and so let's get it out of the way. And so a lot of people are happy. The shoes is on the other foot now, and then you see a statement coming out from the coalition. Look, this is witch hunting. Could this be viewed as witch hunting, or is just what normal government, new government do?
I think it's reasonable for someone to take the paintbrush and try to paint this situation as witch hunting. Any government that, or previous administration, that is confident that they have been fair and that they've been just in the management of the nation's resources, they should welcome any audit. They should welcome any assessment of their actions. And it says to me that there is something to look for when you would first want to put it out there that what's being done is a witch hunting activity. Because when it was done by the previous, when you had done it, you did not view it the same way. So for me, it would put citizens on, a sort of, well, why would you say this? Because when you had done it in 2015 and it was deemed witch hunting, that narrative was completely shut down. So I would think that if you are confident about the management of your, the manner in which you have managed the particular ministry,
fear.
Yeah, then you have nothing to fear.
Well, let's see how that goes, because at the end of the day, I think before you even take over ministry, and you want to know what is in the bank
Absolutely.
accounts, and let us see how that goes, because we could remember after they had over $100-something million spent. I don't think anybody ended up in jail, but a lot of people were paraded up the steps
Correct.
of Soku. A lot of people, it was big thing, big news. Everybody's feeding, the media was a feeding frenzy, and people were embarrassed. And then you go to court, and then you realize that the investigations were topped up, and nobody ended up in jail. And then, of course, the people are saying it was all witch hunting because you didn't find anything. It was all smoke and mirror in which for you to get in office. But let's see what happens. Coming back to this oil, because we can't get away. Yesterday, there was an announcement that there is a Minister of Natural Resources. Who is going to look after the oil? Do we have a very clear picture? Because there seems to be a little confusion. I think it was announced that the Energy Minister in charge of Guy Oil and GPL would be Mark Phillips as a Prime Minister. But we're not very clear as to who's actually going to manage oil and gas. Do we have that?
Well, as far as my knowledge is concerned on this matter, I am not aware that the Ministry of the Presidency would have sent out anything in this regard, or the President would have announced or made any statements where this matter is concerned. But what I would say, Leonard, is that we really need someone to take charge of this industry. And it needs special attention, because especially when you consider how ill-prepared we are to take charge of this sector and to ensure that the sector is Guyanese run, Guyanese based, that the majority of the people who are running the sector, they're Guyanese, that Guyanese businesses are involved, and many women and men, they're part of the industry, and they're being trained to take up senior positions. So I would really, even though there has not been an appointment for this position, I hope that there would be one person who would be able to give it that special attention that's needed, because it's a big area. It's very complex, because we would have seen that in the many issues that we would have reported on. So it's a complex issue, and it really needs someone to be appointed ASAP.
You know what shocked me the other day? I think that story which you guys would have done, I think, what was it, with Suriname Block 58 it is?
Oh, yes.
And I couldn't imagine, and I think the point was made that here you have a reservoir of oil in Suriname that is of lower quality than what we have in Guyana. It's not the same, and yet you have a better deal. Doesn't send them a very straight message to the people of Guyana and to the authorities who are listening that here, let's don't sit on this. There's a possibility, and I think yesterday it was that we there was another follow-up story. Here's a possibility. When we give another permits, here's a chance for us to probably, ask the concession holders like Exxon and Hessen and the other CNOC that look, let's sit down and talk because there's a couple of things. An opportunity presents itself there. Is this a message that we could probably send to the authorities that there are several things, maybe not a contract negotiation, but you have several things. I think Anthony Paul, we had done. I think you talked to him a lot, and very good guy when it comes to knowledge. A Trinidadian who has significant knowledge, would have worked all over the place in Africa and so on. And here it is, he's saying that you might not necessarily have to see a renegotiation of the contract, but what you could very well have is there's several ways through the side door, through the back door, or so that you could actually look at the contract or permits and so on and strike a better deal or ask for better conditions. I would like to hear your thoughts on it because I know you did a lot of work in it.
Well, Leonard, this is my my baby, I so to speak. I'm really wrapped up in oil and gas reporting and the coverage. And what I can tell you is, first of all, I'm very careful in comparing production sharing agreements, one country with another. And before I, venture to say what's the difference between the Suriname and the Guyana production sharing agreements or the contracts, I would like to say yes, or acknowledge that Suriname is very much developed in its oil and gas industry. It has the experience. It knows how to go about getting the best. And many would like to say, well, Guyana has just started. We're very new. And so you can't expect Guyana to have a contract, especially as a frontier country. You can't expect them to grasp the same value as opposed to Suriname. And, the fact that there's so many other influencing factors that would give Suriname a better advantage of negotiating a better deal. But for me, I would say that all of that is well and good, but at the same time, what our neighbors like Suriname expose is that we left tremendous value on the table. There is no reason, given the wealth that is out there, that Guyana should be at a place where it's only accepting a 2% royalty and a 50% take of the profit oil. That is, absolutely absurd. The value of the resource that we have out there, if we take a look at the majors, the Stabroek Block Consortium, ExxonMobil and Hess Corporation, they have sold off many of their assets. They have stopped production in many of their producing fields around the world, and they've decided to focus on Guyana because of the low cost of producing the oil and the great level at which you'd be able to get your returns for your shareholders. That's how sweet that deal is. That's how sweet that oil is. That's the package that they have. Meanwhile, Guyana is on the holding the short end of the stick, and that shouldn't be. So that is what the Suriname situation exposes for us. Here you have a country that does not have as a significant oil find as Guyana, the quality, the cost of production, of bringing it up, is not even it cannot even compare, or it's not even on par with Guyana. So there's so many things to our advantage in terms of the economics, but still we are collecting less than we deserve. So that's what that story that Kaieteur News carried signifies for me. That's what it shows. And the other issue for me is the contract that we have with ExxonMobil. There is no doubt that it is a minefield. There's absolutely no doubt that it is. So even if we want to go to renegotiation, there's so many different provisions in that contract that were skillfully put in there by who knows, because nobody has really admitted to that as yet. But there's so many provisions, especially if you want to change certain, strong arm the company and take them to court, Guyana would have to stand the cost for it. Mm-hmm. So we would want to change it, but we would still have to pay for that to occur.
I think the good thing is that Jack is a very smart man, a very canny guy, and I think as long as we understand that if there's a will, there's a way. And I think the messages has been sent out. We have been very relentless as a newspaper on this issue of oil. Talking to Glenn sometimes, when he had begun at the first time talking about this oil thing, I looked at him and I said, wow, where is he going with this? Because Glenn is very fixed. I mean, as a businessman, he knows, and I think he's gone with his instincts and a lot of time and dead on with it.
Yes.
And so when this oil thing came up and we were talking about where we're going to go with this, and we started investigating. Then you find, and when you looked at the Suriname thing the other day, it's like a kick in the chest. Then you realize, you know what? And what really hurt me is when we started asking those bilateral agencies for money, maybe $1 million to, knowing that we have billions of dollars out there. Mm-hmm. And why should we be asking this? And you're right, this is not an ordinary oil. This is high quality sweet oil. And so if you use the word sweet, a sweet deal that would have been passed there, it might not be such a bad thing saying that. Very applicable in this case. But I fully agree with you. I think there's a lot of work that has to be done. And if this government is very serious, if they listen to advice like people like Anthony Paul and the others, I think there's several lessons to be learned here. But we want to continue this conversation, Kiana, because corruption, the oil and gas, the rule of the law, financial management, and I know you have done a lot of work with the rules and what the Ministry of Finance would have had with some of the systems that they have there, and what they did not put in and cause us not to manage the finances of this country the way it's supposed to be managed. We could have a discussion with that as we go forward, and we are going to do that as we take. But in closing, because I know that you're very busy and you indicated that, is there anything that we should know that with regards to oil and gas that the people should take some heart in, that maybe we could have some more benefits?
Well, Leonard, what I can say is I'm currently putting together a situation report on the oil and gas sector and examining what is it that this administration would be inheriting. What are some of the key issues that it has to fix? And I'm just going to go through some of that. One of the key things that this administration has to go after is correcting the local content policy. In its current state, it's extremely poor. It does not demand even a minimum that oil and gas companies hire or give out a certain number of contracts to locals. It does not put a minimum requirement, whether it's 1% or 2%. And for me, leaving that at the discretion of the oil and gas companies is not in Guyana's interest at all. Another aspect of the local content policy that needs to be fixed is that confidentiality provision. There's a provision in the policy which states that the local content reports of the oil and gas companies can only be seen by the minister and whoever he deems fit to read the local content
Wow.
reports.
Wow.
And those reports are very important, Leonard, and I'll tell you why. Those reports will tell you how many Guyanese were hired by ExxonMobil in a particular year, how many were trained, the transfer of technology, what they've done to improve the institutions that are going to support the local content drive. Now, if you keep those reports hidden, then the nation is unable to hold accountable the companies as well as the respective minister for the sector. So that's just one big area that they have to fix, that local content policy, and bringing on board the local content law to support it. And following that, as we're on the issue of law, we have so many aspects of our legislative framework that needs urgent strengthening, particularly as it relates to the environment, the Environmental Protection Agency. We need laws for with respect to field development plans, what we expect from it. We need laws that an updated oil and gas law that speaks to oil spills. We also need to improve, very importantly, weak capacity within the respective agencies. Because if we don't improve the capacity of the agencies, then we are going to not just lose, in addition to the billions of dollars we're losing on the contract, the poorly written and the arrangement in it, how it is so lopsided, that contract, we're not only going to lose billions of dollars there, but we're also going to lose billions of dollars by failing to properly manage the expenditure of the oil and gas revenues. So I'll leave it there.
No, I want to bring you back, Manny, because you doing, I know that, let me tell you this, Kiana's been doing tremendous work. 4 o'clock, Glenn tell me in the morning that she is still working, because this thing is so complex. She's right. I try, and there's a lot of terms. We got to start getting ourselves educated, oil educated. I think there's some terms to describe that too. Some of the terms that is comes with this oil and gas industry here, because it's something that we'd have to live with. This is not going to go away. So we need to educate ourselves. Kiana has been doing that, and she's been doing a lot of work. In fact, it is almost full time she is on this, because it's such a big industry. The newspaper is of the view very clearly. This is Kaieteur News. That if we could get it right, and Mr. Lal is very passionate about it, if we could get this thing right, this entire country, everybody could be well set. Your pensions, your roads, your everything is there, the resources. We could be building bridges and not having to borrow because of so much money that we have there. But we got to get right, local content, so many other things, and there are ways to do that. So good advice for this government, this young government here, Kiana. As we go forward, I want to say thank you very much. I'm going to have
Thank
to.
you for having me.
Yes, so this is one of our very young reporters who's been very experienced in doing what she's doing. Very good. And this is the team that Kaieteur News they have. And so Glenn, I think, is very fortunate to have me and you. We got to ask him for a raise, you know. So we're going to do that. Mr. Lal, if you're listening, I hope you're taking note. And Kevin is not getting anything. He's been a bad boy. So we're going to pay very close attention to the oil and gas. And, of course, corruption.
Yes.
Kiana, we have to pay attention to that, because you always have fingers pointing one side, pointing to the other side. And the people want to know, they want to have a government that's accountable. We want to have a government that does transparent transactions.
Correct.
And so we are going to have some discussions in the coming days with that. And of course, Kiana is going to be here because she has done some work in that. And I want to say thank you very much, Kiana. Continue with your good work, young lady. And we're very proud of you. Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
very much,
Thank you
Leonard.
very
You
much.
have a good day too.
You too. So while we're saying goodbye to Kiana, I want to say that my good co-host today, none other than Denelli Singh, has taken the day off. It's her day off, and so she's out of town. A good day if you're listening, Denelli. So you have me here going solo here today, because my other my former good co-host, Dr. Yog Mahadio, he has gone on. He's moved on because he has his other things. But tonight we're going to be on with you. He has some big guests tonight, so stand by 7:30 room 592. But let's get down. Many things to talk about, and so we want to open the lines in a very short while, so we could have the people tell us what they expect. Maybe I want to hear from you guys today about what you think about the new cabinet, the new cabinet members who were all appointed yesterday. They were sworn in. Of course, there is going to be difference all times. Oh, he or she should not have been there. They should have been over there, and so on. I want to hear from you guys because at the end of the day, let's give them a chance. Some people say, I could not have an opinion. I think I like youth. I like young people in the cabinet, and I thought that was a very good start. I like some of the older heads also there because you need experience. So let us see how that goes. But we want to hear from you. In the meantime, let us just go back to some of the big stories which would have been in Kaieteur newspaper here, which is 15 new faces join PPPC cabinet. The CARICOM chair defends interference in Guyana's political situation. Special team appointed to investigate 19 state agencies. Granger and Ramjitan views out new PPPC's cabinet. And of course, the police and army is going to play a bigger role in the COVID-19 fight. And this is coming from the DCMO. We know that we passed 500 folks. I want to remind you to ensure that you keep safe. You have to. The numbers are rising. We did receive the rapid testing kits this morning. 4 to 6,000 of those as a donation that is coming from several organizations, CARICOM, WHO, the UAE, as well as the Jack Ma Foundation and SIDIMA. And so these are going to be the authorities, the Ministry of Health is going to be pushing tests right across this nation, more tests for us to be able to have a true picture of what really is the COVID-19 situation. And of course, alongside with that, the police and the army are going to be working along the borders. They're going to be deployed to see how we could control the entry and the exit of not only the Venezuelans but the Brazilians, because we need to know as a country who is coming and who is going. And in any case, we need to patrol our borders. We don't want something coming here that shouldn't be here. And good day to the folks who are there. Keep our borders safe. We see what you're doing, and of course, we see what our policemen are doing, and of course, the frontline health worker. Good day to you, all you beautiful people. You have done a tremendous, fantastic job over the last couple months. It's been more than 5-6 months now. It's not easy. You've sacrificed time away from your family. So let's get right down into it. We want to see you. We want to hear from you. Send those texts to 6222222. We also want you to send us your numbers, you could call us on 226-7453, 226-7453, and let me stop talking here and just hear from you. I'm going to have to wing it, so you guys bear with me as Gildarie alone here with you today. And let us talk. Let us talk about our government, what we expect of them. Let us continue to talk as to what is needed, what you would like to see them do. And let us talk about our ministers that were appointed, what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see them do. We could have a conversation about that today. So let's get right down into things. There's a caller in line. Yes. Good day, caller. You on the air?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Mr. Mahadio.
Mr. Mahadio is not here. Could you lower your volume on the radio right away for me, please?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
And I feel that the young team was there. Well, might do a good job. Right? But I want to know what the finance minister and the president will do with concern the
Could you do me a favor, sorry, just take off your radio because the radio is feeding back to us.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Right. So the thing is that I would like to know what the president and everybody will take for the $30 billion for Guy Suku, right? they're paying some $1,000 in interest over it, right? And the $18 million what thing give them first. I want to know what they will do with it if they know look into this money then. Plus that how much debt this country get to hold. So I think a lot of things can be done here because number one, you get a minister get a boat in the sea. It's a big boat. You have the Harman, Mr. Harman, get 2 boats. Or get a boat called the plus you get 2 hotel in
No. Let's don't go down that way. You have proof of that. You could please text it to me. We could get ourselves in trouble with that. So let's don't go
I
down
know.
that line.
Yeah.
Right. Let's don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, and is that I feel that they got to be good with this loan and so on.
Right.
And all things are going on. I said so the bridge with the bridge concern and make assessment make bridge. All the money are gone in the drain. No bridge now. Thing. A lot of things. I don't know what workers are out of jobs.
Right.
And this is a really a freaking thing that you look at some people, right? They very bad. They're bad in especially in the Kanji area, right? They things not go right, right?
I can imagine. And that's in the Kanji area there.
Yeah. And also, scale is more worse.
Wow.
You had a supervisor travel from Port Transfer go home. So he said, my body, I'm wanting to get to take away the scale. I'm trying to make ends meet the house.
Yes, and there's many. I'm hearing lots of stories. People who would have taken the money that they were paid off and they would have invested in a little taxi walk, and the taxi walk ain't doing so good.
No, it's not good. If you go take a car and you got to win make a 1% there, whole to drive whole day, burn gas, it's a lot of money. You understand? So sometimes one friend say, one, because one from Scotland, right? Just say it, you know, one come on Scotland, from three come on Scotland, go to Nyamsala.
Yes, I hear you.
I feel that the new young team is there, and Hazan Kumabarat is there.
Well, let's see what happens. They have been now sworn in. They are hitting the road running. Let's see what happens, and let's take it from there. I do thank you very much for that. Okay.
I must tell Dr. Mari how this is, man. And you also, I admit this morning I was talking with yours on the radio. Out in my dependence radio. I buy the radio to hear you all ask for it. And this morning I buy the papers and I start paying and I can't read more. We got to get a glass to read, you know.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure listening to our people in Guyana, and of course, it's our job. It's our job.
Yes, that's our job. That's true. And you get a good voice. And you talk, all of you are in the studio. But I enjoy all of you are in the studio. Like in the morning session, and now everybody is very good. Especially you, Dr. Mario, a lot of jokes. That's why let's laugh sometime.
Yes, I hear you. All right, have a good day, and a good day to our Barbies people there. Okay, have a nice day, okay?
Have a nice day, sir.
God bless you. Thank you very much. So a good day to all our people down in Barbies there. This is the Wake Up Guyana program right here on Kaieteur Radio. I know that we had Freddie Kissoon last evening, and if you've missed it, you could go back to Kaieteur Radio on Facebook, or you could go to Kaieteur Radio live stream on YouTube, and you could get that. It's always engaging to hear Freddie. He's loved as well as he is criticized a lot, and so whenever he opens his mouth and he talks about what is happening, his predictions, and his analysis of what is happening in Guyana, it's always good to listen to him, and he always takes a lot of pot shots at me. Sometimes I gotta listen and smile. That's all you could do, because that is vintage Freddie Kissoon. But let's get right down into it. We want to hear from our people. According to one of the texts, say, "Good day, Leonard. This is not the time for on-the-job training, and it's going to be a lot of confusion because these young people have ideas of their own, and they will be direct and controlled by one man. Mark my words. So this program is for everybody. You can make your comments. Let us see another one here. Good day, Leonard. Please impress upon the producer that they must screen all callers. Everyone needs a voice, but you must strive for efficiency and economy of words. Too many people call in to hear themselves, and of course, make it short, snappy, and it's okay. Leonard, my brother, do you know when the airport will reopen? Have absolutely no idea. They got to do it in a very controlled manner. Let me tell you this COVID-19 thing you guys don't want to see. If you have internet, and or somebody that has internet, you go to Brazil and see some of the scenes there. They're literally running out of there's no beds in the hospital. People are literally left in the street in some places, and they run away. They're almost touching to what the U.S. as a leading country. It's happening there. So let's get to another one. Kian and Leonard, Guyana does not have corporate attorneys to negotiate these oil contracts. The next set of contracts will have to be negotiated skillfully under the leadership of the economist, BG. Thank you very much for that, listener, viewer. I cannot help, Leonard, I cannot help laughing when I heard our Uncle Freddie robbed you last night. The man stole your name on the show for the PNC. He said he dropped some good he dropped some good jokes last night. So thank you very much for that. I'm not above people robbing me. You got to be thick skin when you're here on this program here, and because it's a good country, and we are fun people, fun loving people, and we could take it. We could all roll with it. Good afternoon. Could you tell me if the government will help poor people who are home for the past 5 months because the virus is still out there and we're not getting work? Thank you very much. Very good question here from this person. Let me tell you what we do know so far, and I would advise everybody to continue, if you are seeking help, to go to the Ministry of Social Protection because they are taking a list now. Insist that they put your name down, or you could check with the CDC, Civil Defense Commission, and let them direct you. Let me tell you why. If you don't have your name in the system, you're not going to get help, so you need to put your name down. The Ministry of Health and the COVID-19, they have already started several meetings, I understand, would have been held. They are trying to determine what resources they have before they could release it. That is what we're being told. We're waiting officially for our press conferences to have a little better idea as to what the state of affairs is within the various agencies and the ministries and the way forward with the COVID, because that's a big thing for us at the moment. It has remained a big thing over the last 5 months, and it will remain so in the coming months because our borders. Yesterday, you would have heard that the people in the quarantine area are asking for the quarantine river to be reopened because of fishermen who would have been dependent going out on seas. They were stopped because the patrols, the Coast Guards from Suriname, they're patrolling the quarantine river. In any case, there would have been orders not to pass that area there in any boat. If they catch you, they're going to turn you back, maybe even seize your boat. So that has halted everything, the normal way of living for those folks up there. They're calling for the rivers to be open, the quarantine river to be open there so they could continue doing their work. They're promising to wear the mask and do whatever is necessary, but they want to get back to work. So people are calling, people want to know. Let's get back to the line. Yes, good day, caller, you on the air. Good day, caller, you on the air. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon. You are on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, dear. Good afternoon. In connection with the resource minister, I think they could do better,
Mm.
A more legal mind, a more experience in law, in that field, because I feel Guyana already get a raw deal with the oil company, with Exxon, and now this minister they put there, no, I don't think it's going to go too nice. That's my opinion. I don't know if you agree with me. Maybe we have so much legal person,
Mm-hmm.
and and another thing, I want to know the NDC. Oh, yeah, before I forgot. What I know years ago we used to have reshuffle of cabinet. Could you tell me if you think they would have?
Good question. I think we've now started. Let's see. I think it's too early, but in the past, I think it has not been unknown that cabinets have been shaken up. We have reported on it several times when people removed, not in a wholesale way, but there were reports in the past that we would have carried there. I could recall very clearly that people would have been shifted around. The
Yes,
shake up.
maybe like every 2 years or so, you shift them around. Because I can't see one person is being there for 5 years.
What about if you're doing a good job? What's your
But if
response
they
to that?
if they do a good job, oh
Mm-hmm.
yes, I welcome that. Because take for instance, Priya Manichan, I welcome her position.
Mm-hmm.
I had always and this Vindi Prasad. I think she sued that position. I admire those two ladies,
Mm-hmm.
especially the Minister of Education. I'm so proud of her.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some new faces, Rodriguez, and I admire her style too. But I forgot the young woman name. I think she recently joined like a year or two or
You're
something.
talking about Miss Parag, Sonia
Oh,
Parag?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
She's an
I
attorney at law.
Yes, but I still feel that where else she have the education, yes, it go. But maybe to walk along with her, maybe somebody with more experience in that field.
Mm-hmm.
She's in tourism, right?
No, not tourism. She's another. I think she's public service.
But oh yes,
Public
that
service, she's gone in
yeah.
there. Well,
Now
let's see.
say for instance
Yeah.
that position needs strong power because when the union them start really bully you, you have to have good guts to back answer them.
Mm-hmm.
You know how union goes. And I don't know if she will able to, seeing that she's pretty young in it,
Mm-hmm.
not only in age, but the experience to go with it.
Right, right. Well,
And
let's see what happens. It's interesting. You brought in some interesting points. I think it's a little too early for us to talk about shake-up, but let us see. But I agree
yep,
with you that they should be
have
reviewing.
a
Right, right,
reshuffling, yes,
right, right.
sometime or not.
Yeah.
And now, take for instance, I glad we are on the subject with tourism.
Hmm.
Do you believe that Guyanese should really have a better opportunity in traveling in their own country?
We'd have to bring down the cost because I think in some place traveling to the hinterlands is almost the same thing or if not more.
Go to Trinidad or
Right, right, right,
Barbados.
right. You could just jump on a plane and maybe less. So
Because
we have to think about it very carefully and then.
I got old since
Mhm.
I born. Now I get old. I don't know where Baltica is.
No, you should go. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, but then
Hmm.
for me, where would I able to pay a hotel bill
Right.
and the passage and the hotel bill for a weekend?
Mhm.
It's like I got save about 6 months
Mhm.
pension. And I feel Guyanese should get a better deal in touring
Mhm.
or, go the interior. I don't even know when Northwest there.
All right, we should go. All right, I hear you. Thank you very much. I hear your points and
I
keep
wish
calling,
the
right?
tourism minister might, look at these little things because we Guyanese deserve better. Now we have resources. We don't have to pay. I don't think pretty soon we should be paying for fuel for the plane to carry in or out or
No, you
whatever.
have to pay. You have to pay something, and there's always a price.
Yes, they always, but I hope that the Guyanese people need a little relief or need to live because we Guyanese know the outside country more than the inside country.
Hmm.
Because if you go to Trinidad or you go to the Canada or America, when you go over there, you know where you're going.
Hmm.
You know the place. But in Guyana, here, you live in your own country.
I
And
hear
you
you.
don't know the country.
I hear you.
All because it's too expensive.
All right, I hear you, sister. Thank you very much, and your contributions.
Okay,
We
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Bye.
Thank you very much. And so while we say goodbye, dear, to that caller, she did raise a point there, and I would like to hear from you guys whether qualifications has anything to do with if you're in a particular ministry. And let me go a little further on what I really want to hear. let's say you have a management experience. Deodat in there has tremendous experience in management, but I think he's gone across as the junior minister within the Ministry of Public Works, which has a lot to do with road works and so on and so forth. But that ministry is also in charge of the airports and a couple of other places like the Civil Aviation Authority. If you have management experience and qualifications, could it not work at the head of a ministry? I would like to hear from you guys whether that's something, because I did see people raising eyebrows with regards to Ramson and so on, whether he should have been there or whether the other gentleman, I think Mr. Barrett, should have been there at the natural resources. But let's talk maybe, is it an issue that should be discussed? Because when a leader or the decision makers within the party would have looked at several persons, Gildarie, Kevin, Glenlal, whoever it is, and says, let's put you in these positions, there were several factors to be taken into account there, maybe your qualifications, your experience, and people would know your strengths and weaknesses. But we want to hear from you guys. Let us hear what are some of your thoughts on that as we bring this country to a next level. These are conversations that we'd have to have. Good day, caller, you on the air.
Good afternoon, Leonard. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir.
I believe, let me tell you, the ministers of our choose, I think we should give them a chance a year, 2 years, because let me tell you, qualification is not all, you know. You could got about 10 subjects with your call, and you go on a job. You got to learn this work from starting. Yeah, and when you start to learn work, from there you start to get experience. You don't take an experienced man and put them in a job right away. At least everybody in this world got to start from somewhere before they can get a little experience. And I think, in fairness, we should give these youngsters a chance and see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't ask them to start right away. It's impossible.
Right.
And we got a country, it fall off this map, actually. And these people, them, go in and bring back our country. So, you know what I mean? It is too early to diagnose what's going on in this country here now.
Absolutely.
And we must give them a chance. We can't bombard these people. I heard Granger and this chapo named Ramjatan making a lot of noise and stupid talking about these people. They had the worst people inside their government. Soon they straight people inside their government, they send them abroad to study and have taxpayers' money. Which part of the world you could find that happening? These people got their graduation, they got their papers, and they got their certificate. But just let these people start to do what they're doing. Guyana is in a hell of a mess right now. And we mustn't bomb these people. This is too very early. This is all I can tell you, man. But just keep up it.
I thank you very much, dear caller. Do have a pleasant rest of the day, and to all the people, good people in Diamond Grove, all along these banks. Linden, how are you guys doing? And all the regions, Berbice, Essequibo, Demerara, how are you guys doing? Pomeroon, all along the Essequibo coast of Fyans, how are you guys doing there? Supanam, if you're listening, a good day to you. If you're traveling in a minibus or your cars, be very safe on the road. Make sure that you protect yourselves. Make sure that you travel at a moderate pace. Do not speed. Do not take unnecessary chances. They say accident makers are because they're the persons who are taking chances. Chance takers are accident makers, rather. So let's get down to some comments here. Hey guys, good afternoon. I think it's an awesome move by the PPP to include young people because they are future politicians. So why not give them a chance to establish themselves and gain experience? I love to see more women are included in a balance of different culture. Good luck to the PPP Civic. I hope in approximately 3 to 4 years, Guyana will be the most developed country in South America. Have a good day. I think we all wish the same thing too, that we could take the opportunity, every thing that has happened to us. There should be some opportunities. We have taken a beating over the last couple of months. Let us try to not have a repeat of that. Let us use this opportunity to build, because we have to. Everybody could benefit from that, and it doesn't matter who's in there. What is important is that our people continue to live a life that is one filled with quality, that's one filled with benefits from our resources. There's nothing wrong with you asking for that. Bajak, the first Vice President and Finance Minister, fittest person. That's somebody that's texting us. Good afternoon, Leonard. I would like you to address the billboards and all the campaign signs hanging all over the flags on the posts and so forth. Thank you very much. Yes, I did see that. It doesn't look good. If the parties would have been responsible spending millions to put it up, you need to make arrangements for it to come down. And I think it's time now. The elections are over. As a responsible party or parties, you guys have to do the right thing, clean up the people place. And this goes for all parties. Nobody should be left. Mr. Gildarie, people are talking about the inexperience of the young people of the cabinet. One, if the PPP had appointed the old cabinet, that would have been more negative talks. The qualification of these young people, ministers, matters. But what is important for us to understand is these ministers have a group of experienced people around them. The minister is not a one-man, one-woman show. She works with a group to deliver to the people of the country. So I understand that and I appreciate that. I think very good words here from that person. And it is not a one-man show. There's a group. There's some older persons. And let's go back. To who are the persons that are in the cabinet. If you would have missed it, Irfan Ali, of course, leading yesterday. It would have been the Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Vindhya Prasad, Minister of Housing and Water, Colin Crowell, Minister of Labour, Joseph Hamilton, Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, Minister of Public Works, Juan Edgel, Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chan, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Hugh Todd, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Charles Ramson Jr., Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Bharat, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Onij Waldron, Minister of Public Service, Sonia Parag, Minister of Home Affairs, Robertson Ben, Minister of Agriculture, Zulfikar Mustafa, Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, Minister of Amerindian Affairs, Pauline Sukai, Minister within the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, Anand Prasad, Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar, Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Warren Kwame McCoy, Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Darnell. Those were the persons who would have been sworn in yesterday in front of President Irfan Ali. So there you would have had it, a young group and a young team. Any news on the task force? I don't have any news on that. I know there were several meetings on the COVID-19 task force. Let us see. We are waiting anxiously because we want to hear how it is that we're going to tackle. Already they would have said that the police and army are going to be playing a bigger role in the COVID-19 response, the pandemic response. So let us wait to see how that happens. But it doesn't make sense for me that we have everything that's happening here. We have a shutdown and our people are all over milling, drinking. The pole shop open on the weekend. The bars, we having barbecue, big dance, bacchanal going on. Hello, good afternoon. We live in a village named Great Truly Island, Escobar River. And our problem is that we do not see anyone visit this village, only when it's campaign time. And yes, we do hear complaints about that all the time from our people. The only time that we see our politicians is when it's campaign time, and after that they forget. And when they see us again during the campaign time, we are the best love of our lives. So we hear that. A good day to the good people of Truly Island. I'm not sure. I don't know much about Truly Island. Got to learn a little bit that. If anybody knows, maybe you could tell us, text us, let us know. Hi, good day. Both parties were promised free tertiary education at UG. Do you guys think that this is possible? I'm not sure at this point in time. This is something that we'd have to. This is Gildarie speaking now. I think I would love to see this country having free education all the way to UG, maybe even having a law degree being given here, taken to the fullest, a law school. As to free education, that's something that we should strive for. I think we have enough resources. If you could push it, the gold price remain over $2,000 today. So let us see. We have to call. We have to push our leaders. Insist that we need better life for all our people. So the conversation has started. Our government is at work. It's a hard task to deal with. They are now going in, so it's going to be getting the feet wet is going to take a couple months. The dealing with COVID-19, not sure. That is uncharted waters that we're dealing with. Mr. Gildarie, age is secondary in the management of primary importance. Oh, sorry. Age is secondary in management. Of primary importance is the will to work the management mechanism to the fullest extent. In the Caribbean management, management ends with the planning and organizing. Very little attention is given to directing, motivation, control, and evaluation. This creates opportunities for corruption and failure. To succeed, the minister, young and old, to succeed, the ministers, young and old, has to work through the full range of the management process. In essence, what we see here, the messages are say, let's give them a chance, let's see what happens. Let's go back to the line, Kevin. Yes, caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Go ahead.
My concern about this cabinet that was swearing yesterday,
Uh-huh.
I feel that they should give these young people them a chance because those people have education before they've been there. So they study hard and they know what they have to go to, and they will do their work. They do the job. Give them a chance. And another question I like to ask: this application that we fill up for social protection, if that application I fill it up since June month, and we didn't get any call, did we have to do it back over again?
Very good question. We are going to raise this with the relevant ministers because that's a question I want answer as well. If you have put in your application, what happens then? Remember, they have now gone. It's the sixth day, I think, or so. They have to hold a press conference or they have to issue a statement. What happens to those people who have put it in? That's a question that we need answer to.
And the next question I have to answer: I'm a public assistant, and we have to wait 3 months before we can get our book back so that we can get money. How we can survive when we can't get help till 3 months? So it's very hard, and as we have to pay bills. What guy were calling, and the line phone said we might have to pay up our bills. The GT&T call on your phone, so you got to pay up your GT&T bill. Then you have to pay light bill. And we can't get help and our support from nowhere to help pay our bill. So I like to know how, if for 3 months we have to wait to get that money back, the public assistance. Thank you very much to hear my program, hear my complaint.
Yes, thank you very much, ma'am. And yes, these are some of the things that many poor people are complaining. And you know what? We got to push to raise the level of services within the various ministries and agencies. I did indicate several times that one of the things that I loved was the fact that we have passport offices in every one of the county now. I think that was a big thing. But when you still go to a lot of ministries, and even although you see a lot of improvements there at the Guyana Revenue Authority, but you go into a lot of ministries, the attitude is, I think we could lift ourselves to another level. It's like chewing gum, and they're looking at you, and I'm on the phone, and that kind of attitude, or I'm at lunch now, could you wait, sit down there, and the filing the nails, those kind of attitude that you see in there. This is not good enough. You're there. If you don't like the job, leave the job, go somewhere else. Let somebody who want to work, who want to provide the service to the people, do it. And if 3 months, somebody who's waiting to receive public assistance and they have to wait with those books, that is not something that is acceptable. If you guys know it, let me invite you again. Please send us your emails if you can, or send us letters, or text us and let us put the letters in the newspaper, so we could complain about them. You have the right to do that. If you go into a particular agency or ministry and something happens, start complaining, put it on social media, take pictures, do that. You have the right to do that. do not sit down and, we wait until campaign time or elections time. Start agitating, start making sure that we push to have these people that are sitting there. Let's name and shame them if you can, because there's nothing wrong with that. That is me saying that. I would do that, and I think as a people too, we have to demand better. We paying a lot of money in taxes, monies that we could probably barely afford, and we want to see it spent in a way that we get a kind of service that we deserve as not only human beings but as good Guyanese citizens. So we could go back to the line again. Yes. Good day, caller. You on the air? Yes. Good day, caller. You on the air?
Hi, Leonard. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
First of all, I was listening to you and that young lady at the opening of this program.
Yes.
I think the government of the day, because I don't think those contracts were signed by mistake, because we were dealing with someone who know law, or is supposed to know law. So don't tell me we willfully had those sort of mistakes, right? And I think the president needs to harness a team of experts. And we got people like Miss Yankee and Yad Mangal and those guys. I think we need to bring these people on board and have them sit down. I mean, I don't know if we could renegotiate or if it could or it can't, but we need to at least try to get something more. Because I listened to that young lady, boy, and she has to be dedicated to her work because she put out this thing in detail. And my hat's off to her. That's just very commendable from a young journalist. And I think we need to look at that. I think we need to look at the oil contract overall, because I don't think the minister made a mistake. I don't think so. Unless, because he is a lawyer by profession. How could you put some of the things that young lady is talking about? How could you have a contract where the minister decide who see it? Is the minister business he doing? Is the oil belongs to him, or is it the oil of the people of Guyana? And secondly, I would like to see in some of the ministry, we not only put camera outside to see what is going on, we put camera in the building of itself to see how some of the workers perform when you members of the public, like you go there to beg them a favor.
Yes, I
know
hear
more
you.
and more people will keep calling because you're giving more and more people an opportunity to highlight their problem. But, enough of us can't text. So I think you should at least give them an opportunity to call in and let them get a report. And the way you guys say doing that, Kaieteur is given the opportunity to put it in the papers. That's very nice.
Yes, man.
Because a lot of these people, enough of us can't do the text.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you, Chief.
Could talk we story, but we can't write it then.
No, man. This is what we gotta do. As people, we gotta do we thing, right?
Because I don't believe that young lady's tremendous. She did a tremendous job, and I know because I listened to her on Island News.
Mm-hmm.
And she's well informed. She's doing her research, and that she's not just going by what people say. She's digging up the information herself.
No, we are doing a lot of work in that. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I know. You guys are it for nearly 5.5. You, for one, is on it only 6 months now. Since before the election, you were interviewing people, you were talking to people, Mm-hmm. And I remember when your friend Freddie was trying to take over your show on Island. You got to get a show of your own,
No, yeah, Freddie is monumental. All right, thank you very much, my brother.
Listening to you guys.
God bless you.
Well informed place. If you want your information, this is the right place.
God bless you. Take care.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. So in the meantime, before we go to on the next call, yes, this newspaper, Kaieteur News, as well as Kaieteur Radio, I've been instructed by my publisher that we make sure that we tell the people that it belongs to them. He's just the manager, we just the custodians of the two entities, and we want the people to have an understanding that they have a voice here, and they could use it to bring out whatever concerns that they have. And letters, pages, and of course you could text us while we're in here in as much as possible. We're receiving so many, we can't read everything, but we do appreciate, we're paying very close attention to that. Here is a comment from one of our viewers, listeners. Bro, the police must respect the people's time. This old practice of having you sit 3 or more hours at the evil area to speak to a senior officer, they must stop. It's frustrating. Please highlight. I've received many complaints and I want to make it a test. And I even make it a test case and found it to be true. So if you're listening, the Guyana Police Force, when the people come to you and you're all over the place, you have more important things to do, and you get people sitting down there for hours and hours and hours. This is not good enough. You guys are there to serve. If you don't want the job, leave it, go somewhere else. The message is very clear. We're not going to tolerate any kind of behavior that does not do anything with the service. That's one of the mandate. That is one of the things that you promised when you signed up to become a policeman or a policewoman. And so if you're hearing the good top management of the police force, a good day to you guys. Wish you all the best. We want to see a good Guyana. You guys play a very important role for law and order in this beautiful country of ours. So we want to make sure that you do your job because we are going to be paying attention, and we insist that happens. And we understand that you guys are working hard with very little resources. We hoping to have a country that eventually we could have enough police cars, maybe body cameras, among other things that is going to raise the level of security in this country. But in the meantime, everybody is a policeman. If you see something in the neighborhood, if you know somebody's stealing and they live right next to you, find a way of getting that story out so we could be able to bring. You got to start right within the neighborhood. If you start that, then if you replicate it across the country, it is going to be so much better. So let us see some other comments here very quickly. Hello, my dear. First of all, congrats to the new government elected. What I would like to see is that the government do something about the GPL bill. Please, oh my, I've been collecting a large bill. We're not working. Let them do something. Yes, senior citizens have been complaining. And the other thing, what about our children who are at home for about 5 months now? And we hear you. These are things that we have to ask. We have a bunch of questions that we have prepared that we want to ask the new government. Some of the plans, they are still trying to determine how much money have we inherited in the bank account, in the kitty jar, so we could be able to determine what to do with it. The big thing staring us in the face, the elephant in the room would of course be COVID-19. So we are going to be waiting and see what happens there. In the meantime, let's go to a call, Raj. Yes, good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, sir.
I just want to do a little follow-up on the police.
Yes.
Because I hear you were speaking about the police just now. And I said this on previous radio program that, police responsible for security. And what I find happening with the police, you find a lot of police be out there, being on the streets, and every single day there's so much police you see. And when it comes in the night, police is not working in the night. All the policemen gone to sleep, particularly the senior police, starting from maybe the corporal, right up, gone to sleep, and they left a couple constables to run the station. Constable, sometimes when somebody called that, there's a crime going on, thief, the police will say, well, I went to a next location. I think that they should start get senior policemen working in the night to let them answer the call and let them dispatch these regular policemen to go to these places so they go know their whereabouts. You can't go and sleep in the night and you left just regular policemen and they're doing what they want and they're making excuses that, they must give you a account for the next location where they went, because most of the time you don't hear about the next story. Like there was a robbery in this location, and then there were a robbery there. They went to the next location, but you never hear about the next robbery at the next location. You only hear the story from their mouth, And the whole day you see policemen on the road every single day, so much policemen in the night. And I'm saying that policemen responsible for security, so they need to provide security for the people in the night. Another thing I would like to touch on quickly is that while these ministers are young ministers and they go in office, they should listen to ordinary people. why I say they should listen to ordinary people to build that experience. It's going to cost a lot of money because when you don't know about something and you get people doing what they want, like you put a man, for example, people of this mentality think that when you give them a drain to clean or weed, they say, well, all right, let me just brush the top so that next week the grass can grow back and we can get back walk again. You must be able to say, I want you to do this work, and this is how I want you to do it, and you must come back to ensure that you get it done the way you want it done. You just can't give people things to do because you're just wasting the country money and you're wasting, you're doing nothing. So they should listen. They should start listening to ordinary people. If people, willing to share their knowledge and advice with them that, well, this is how this thing's supposed to be. You're supposed to get this thing done. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you get the education, what you call it, the academic education, but if the basic knowledge about the thing you don't have, you don't have the basic knowledge to say, well, yes, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do what I want to do, and we could get going with what we're doing. Because you sit down and if you don't know how the thing's supposed to do, it's just like you're wasting taxpayers' money. So I would love to see that they listen to people. I would love to see that they, even if you got to employ people, like, for example, if you're doing contracts and it requires an engineer, you pay an engineer to oversee the work so that you could save money and time rather than the people just do. And people in this country basically get the attitude of doing things to just donkey dam so that the thing could break up again or damage, and then they get back work again in the next couple mornings to do it again all over instead of do it in a good fashion or a good way, and then look to see if they could get contracts to move countrywide and say, well, look, I've done this contract here, this will last for like 5 years or 6 years, and I move to a next location and I get the next contract. They're just looking for those kind of substandard work, thinking that, well, if they do it, so they'll get back more work, and they I don't know. I don't know if maybe you're making any sense.
No. Your thoughts on some very, very important points, and I'm going to address them as soon as we finish here. I do thank you very much. Any other points quickly, Carlo?
No, it's all right.
Thank you very much,
Thank
dear.
you.
Some very good points here. Let me make it. Let me touch on two things. The Ministry of Home Affairs now has Robertson Ben. I've seen him. I used to cover the Ministry of Public Works when he was there up to 2015. Man, does take action. He's an action man, and I know that he's very passionate about what he does. Sometimes he comes into conflict with a lot of people the way he does things, and that he actually gets down on the road. He see things, and if it's in contravention to what he knows, the regulations, he is going to take actions. I rather expect we're going to hear some stories. Don't be surprised if you see Robertson Ben walking into a station early in the morning, 3 o'clock, to find out whether the policemen are sleeping or napping or something, or they have the gates closed and nobody's answering, or the phone off the hook. He's that kind of person. So I'm expecting that they are going to be some shake-ups, and they are going to see we are going to be seeing some different things, and we want to see more policemen, especially in the outlying areas, in the hinterland areas, where people have been complaining it's difficult to actually get a policeman or get contact with somebody and get people there very, very quickly. Second thing is, I think a couple of years back we used to know that a couple of ministers would have been holding 1 day per week. They would have what you call a public day in which they meet members of the public. That is one way. I think this is something that they need to go back to. They need to have a day in which they meet the people to hear the concerns. If there's something that they're not getting through at the ministry, they need to meet with their minister. They have voted those ministers in, and if they want to talk to the ministers, why not? There's so much things that you could do. We know that the ministers have a lot of work, but you've signed up for this. You've decided you want to take this on, and you can't forget the people. You're there to serve the people. So this is something that I would like to see happening again. That the caller did raise another important point. On many of the contracts, the road work contracts and so on, we've been receiving increasing complaints with regards to the engineers. We've been receiving complaints about contractors, but guess what? If the engineers who are there to make sure that the works are being done on behalf of government don't do the work, if the man's supposed to do 100 meters of maybe roadway, and the man does, instead of doing 2 inches thick, he does it half inch, and then he walks away with some money. Give the engineer some money. This is not stories I'm telling you. These are facts. This is things that people could tell you. The Auditor General report would have been reflecting many cases of when their auditors go down on the ground and they did their measurement, what they found. And so that man would have received, when they talk about overpayments, that's what the Auditor General is talking about. So the engineers, the government engineers, we hear you. When you guys are driving big fancy cars and living in big houses, the people are paying attention. If you have an engineer working or that's living right next to you, pay attention to what he's doing. And you guys should be whistleblowers. They got to be living somewhere. You got to be knowing something. So talk. You guys need to talk about it, because when you pay out $50 million, he's living happy. You have nothing there because you have a bad road, and he's living and he's smiling. That is the kind of way. That is what we need to think about. This is the kind of attitude that we need to start, developing when it comes to our resources, about what is happening across this beautiful land of ours. I hope that I've answered the question there. Caller, let's get back here. The public service needs some kind of revolutionizing. The attitude is terrible. I personally never go to a public service place unless I have to hook up, and that's sad. What about the next person who doesn't have contacts? These people need to be trained. Don't get me wrong. There's some people who act in a very professional manner, but these are few and far in between. We need better. We need the 911 service working urgently. Thank you very much for that, caller. Leonard, my brother, I heard a comment about the GPLB, and I remembered something. How about we make proposal for all MPs, ministers, and everybody in power to give up 3 months' salary to provide food and health care to those who urgently require? What are the chances? Um, Good question. Raj, are you going to give up your salary? You think you can afford that? Yeah, Raj is all the way from India, and he's working with us, and he is willing to give up his salary. The person is asking here, could we have a proposal, all MPs, ministers, and everyone in power to give up their salary? The good people in Guyana, well, I give up part of my salary, and if you could afford it, or if there's something that we could do to help our struggling brothers and sisters until the government could probably do something, I think it is what we could do for our beautiful people of this country. Let us help our brothers. Let us help our neighbors. Let us help somebody who knows, who could help. Somebody asking me for help, I could remember. And these are not people that I really want to help. He says he wants to get a job. Could I help him to buy? Here, Kevin. Somebody asking me for some help, and they're asking me, he needs to get a new job. He needs an underwear. He needs underwear. He needs deodorant. He needs a vest or a couple of vests. He wants me to help him. Should I help him? Kevin says yes. He is. Well, I don't know. He says he got to get a job, and these are things that he needs.
If he was asking you for these things, it would have been separate.
Well,
You got work for the thing.
right. So we have two good people here. Raj is willing to give up part of his salary. Kevin is saying for me to help. And these are good people. I like you guys. Good day. I think let's go to the callers again. Good day, caller. You're near. Yes. Good day, caller. You're near.
Good day, sir.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, brother.
Go ahead.
All right. I live in Grove.
Grove, East Bank, Demerara.
You know me?
I know you. Well,
Yeah.
I know most people there. I used to live there.
Yeah, no, it is Marvin Airport.
Yes, sir.
All right. We need a policing group back in all those areas
Mm-hmm.
so we can get things calmed down. Years ago, we had policing group.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes. We're hearing. Go ahead.
So we had transportation, we had shift, like 2 shifts in the night.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 shift work, 1 gone home. So we need back that policing group.
I agree with you, because I could remember there's not enough police officers, police ranks there, and
Right.
the CPGs. I think it was something that was heavily pushed by Clement Rohi and a couple
Right,
of others.
correct, correct.
It's something. Yes, I agree with you, because I remember there was some neighborhood policing ranks, and so they were even at the Diamond Station. I go
Right.
there and you see
We
them.
still got some guys in policing group, so we need that to come back real fast.
Hmm. Well,
Another thing,
yes.
yes, sir, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
These guys that young generation just get into this party, you got to give them a break, brother. They are young, and the country in a state, so they will work. And I see they start working from the second day.
I like that. In fact, I believe they should start working from Sunday. But guess what?
Yes.
I like the fact that they hit the ground running. Let's
Yes.
have an assessment, and
Correct.
they're trying to get a hang.
Things done. Yeah.
Right. I like that. In 2015, did like the fact that they hit the road running. Somewhere along the line, we dropped the ball because some people stopped working after a little while. Some people stopped answering the phones.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need this country to get back. People are starving. People don't have jobs. Me at 5 months at home.
5 months.
Yeah.
Imagine that. And you have kids.
Yeah. Bills.
Bills.
Yeah. And I still helping people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Things is very hard.
Yeah.
You got like bill to pay, water bill to pay. You know what I mean?
And nobody's giving you a break, right?
No.
And nobody's saying anything. You see,
No.
if the government comes out and they say, look, we don't have the money, and we could probably going to ask GW and GPL to give you some help or maybe
Correct.
give you a break, we can
Yeah.
understand. But nobody coming out and say, man, Kevin, Gildarie, what is happening? You know, how are you making out? There was very little. All you just know is that if you owe courts or if you owe somebody, the banks have given
Yeah.
people a little break. The banks, I think Scotiabank was one of them that we would have heard would have really, you know, if you went into them and they, without even, they extended it, said don't pay for a couple of months. We understand, let us put it, because they understand if they do it, if they don't do it, they're going to end up with all the vehicles and the houses that were mortgaged
Correct.
in their hands. What are they going to do with it?
Yeah. Then you have insurance to pay. You have license to pay.
Wow.
Everything you got to pay. You know what I mean?
Wow, it is. Well, I hear you, my brother. Take care. Just hold the faith. I think you know, when you have hope, a lot of things can happen.
Yeah.
Hope and faith.
Well, you know
can
me.
move
You know
one
me
place.
already.
Yes, my
And
brother. I know you very
the
well.
ministers need to speak like the people like me, have advice about tourism and everything.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? People on the road, they call them flat foot. They knows partly that what's going to be done to get the country moving.
Yes.
They need to go to the areas and find out from people what's going on. What's the problem? You know what I mean?
I hear you, my brother.
And the guy from civil aviation, the civil aviation boss, needs to step up and do something better with the airport, open the airport.
They have to do it, but we got to be very, you know, I believe that we could have scheduled reopenings.
Correct.
But it has to be in a very controlled way. And
Yeah, because, yes, go ahead.
we have people, my brother, that are not too, how you say it, disciplined. We gotta start not
By
just
yourself.
taking we gotta be very disciplined. Somebody gotta enforce. If
Right.
somebody's not enforcing, forget it. Guyanese people, you know, we always like to break the thing. We go and imagine doing this the height of this thing, and numbers are increasing, and
Yeah.
we still gathering at the beer garden.
I see that. I
You
used to
live
go-
right in Grove there. You know what
Yeah,
happened. I see it
that.
and I said,
see that.
wow,
All the
how
street
could
corners,
that be?
all the street corners of people. People walking without masks. Gathering without masks. I see that.
Imagine that.
You need a man like me at the airport. Put people discipline. I see the street. We will come to the law and order. You're going to be there.
All right,
He's
my
gonna be
brother.
there.
Thank you very much for that, and we got to catch up. I'm going to come in there somewhere.
You all is doing a very good job. You and Yog and that young lady speaks very well just now.
Oh, Kiana is one of our top reporters, one of our shining stars here at Kaieteur Radio. We have many of them, many young people who've been working day in, day out. Lots of admiration for them. I wish I had the energy like them.
Yes, correct.
And they are really pushing, pushing it. We have people in this country, you know, my brother.
I know.
We got to give them a break.
Program since the start.
Yes, so we have to
Day
give them a
and
break.
night.
Yeah.
1:30, 7:30, I'm there. And you all is doing a very good job. Keep it up, brother.
Thank you very much. A good
Don't
day.
worry nobody.
No, I'm not bothered.
No.
I'm not
And
bothered.
Mr. Glenlal, say hello to him for me, please, and his family.
I will do that, sir. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Welcome.
A good day to the good people of Grove Diamond, my little backyard where I used to play. Used to climb a lot of trees there. Used to play a lot of marbles. You play marbles? Very good. You know marbles. You don't know. You play marbles, Kevin? man, you guys got to do things. You play cricket in the street. Our kids are mostly in the home, playing video games on the phone, and people have lost, every Sunday morning, big bacchanal in the street. When you finish at the end of the day, big fighting too, because if somebody lost money or rubber bands or Chico paper, if you guys know about Chico papers, you send it to us, let us hear some of the good old days. This is beautiful Guyana, and don't talk about the neighbor duck and the fowl. Let us get some messages here. Um, I can't help stop. Let me see. Let me see. Thank you. How come Mr. Charles Ramson is not in the oil, which is obviously is a strength? How come Zulfikar Mustafa is in the biggest sector when he obviously have no idea about agriculture? Well, I'm not sure about that. That is a question that was raised here. Good afternoon, sir. I'm from the Corriverton area, and I hope to get back our flag raising on Republic Day because the former ministers in charge stopped it. So I hope that we get back that rights in our tongue. Thank you very much. A good day to our good people down at Corriverton. Beautiful place. I think I know a gentleman there. There's a big arch there. Corriverton is a really scenic area, very quiet. Yeah, you go down a little more, Skeldon area there. We have some beautiful places here. It's overlooking the Quarantine River, and you see things. The breeze, everything. The mosquitoes were one time I was there. Mosquitoes were terrible, but Quarantine. If you guys have never been in Berbice, it doesn't mean I don't love Essequibo. Essequibo is very peaceful, very quiet. Some beautiful places there. Lake Mainstay, Charity, Supanam. You guys got to travel this country. It is a beautiful place. Um, Good day. Let me see what it says here. The caller is spot on. You need to check at every stage the progress of the work. You cannot give out work and leave the work on autopilot. Yes, you're right. Back to the engineers. The engineers are the government representatives on the road works or whatever works are being carried out. In some cases, the big entities like IDB, overseas donors, IDB, IMF, whoever lends you money, CDB, they would insist that there's an independent consultant on ground who's going to monitor the works. And in some cases, you hear stories of how corrupt these supervising engineers, they've been looking at it. So it cannot be that the contractors alone, are the ones who are running away or getting away with it. Somebody has to be allowing them. Let's don't fool ourselves. The engineers are the culprits. We have found that on so many occasions. And so if you know of an engineer who's doing crappy jobs, who's allowing something to go away, if you having works done in your area, pay attention. Pay attention to what they're doing. Ask to see the contract. You have a right to demand what is it that you were asked to do. You could ask the contractor what is it that you were asked to do, and because you should follow them. If you see somebody is breaking up the new road or mixing cement on the road, take a picture, post it up. This is not supposed to happen. People destroy the road that the government spend millions, all because they want to do their own thing. Why you don't mix the cement in the yard? Why you mixing it on the road? We see many cases of this. Stop doing it. It's not right. It is not. I don't even think it's legal. It's in contravention to the rules or the regulations, the bylaws of the NDCs and whoever else is in charge of that area. Let's go back to the caller. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Your pleasant good afternoon to you, Leonard. How are you?
Pretty good, sir. Go ahead.
My contribution is, first of all, let me congratulate all the ministers that were appointed, and especially young people. I'm happy to see that we have some young ministers within my age group that are serving the country. In relation to qualifications and such, right? I believe truly that qualification plays a big role as well. However, whenever you're in a sector, you still have to get the experience, and it's good to see that young people are pushed to that front, so they can gain experience and they can get a specialty there. What I was quite surprised with was when Ramson was given a different position, but the seniors who are responsible for choosing their portfolio, they probably know what they're doing, and everything is in their hands. We just have to give them a chance and let's see what happens, because who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically my contribution. And, we all have to work together and get a positiveness for our country, because our country has been in such a bad shape all the time. So we gotta use this opportunity to be positive and have a positive vibe. And in relation to, well, I was disappointed yesterday when I read some of the posts on Facebook with the newly appointed agriculture minister Mustafa, and it stated is the way how it was posted, right? It was saying that they have to do some studies before reopening the estates, and within minutes that post was on Facebook, people started attacking. Now, indeed, you have to do a study because there is a pandemic going on. And the sugar estates, as we know it, is a very crowded operation. You know, with the cane cutters, the factories, the workers, it's a crowded operation. So indeed, you need to do some studies to see what is more beneficial so that people can't get infected.
Mm-hmm.
And, you try to minimize this pandemic because the numbers are growing. Now, I don't know if you get some chances, right, Leonard?
Mm-hmm.
You go down Regent Street on the afternoon. You go in some of the stores and you see what goes on. You go on the parks when businesses are finished and people go home to catch buses. And, a lot of these buses and transportation, they are avoiding the guidelines. They're packing up the bus as normal and everybody goes along with it because what happened? Everybody wants to go home. There are still crowds in the markets. There are still crowds in the parks. And, to me, how I view it, every day more and more people are throwing away the guidelines, throwing away the precautions. So I hope that, by this new government is in place, they, get back strict on this thing because it's growing. Mm-hmm. It's growing every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. And let me tell you, yes, we see the minibuses are packing up and nobody's doing anything. But you go around a corner, you see the policemen with the speed gun in their hands. What you also finding out is that many of these minibuses are owned by policemen, and so they have contact. Somebody picking up the phone, if somebody stopped, and then you call somebody, and then somebody lose. This is an age-old story that we keep hearing and hearing. If you got contacts, you get off, and it happens. This is not something that we're going to be willing to tolerate. You have a camera, you're sitting in a minibus. If it is that only 7 persons in a minibus, why are you allowing 13 as a passenger? You have to demand, and if they have an issue with, you take out your phone and you record everything. I know you want to get home, but don't endanger yourself. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your children, you owe it to your family, not to put yourself at any risk. Wear your mask, get in the bus. Do not have 13, 14 persons in the bus when it's only 7. Why are we allowing that? And the minibus people, we paying attention to you. You guys are, how you say it? You guys are lawless. You guys are disrespectful. I mean, you see people, if you see a driver drinking Guinness, you take a picture of it. You need to start taking actions as a people. Let us don't tolerate this. We're too big. We're too much of a good people to be tolerating a few tails to be wagging the dog. Good afternoon. My concern is about the college students at the Cyril Potter College of Education, especially students staying in the dorms because they're scheduled to reopen in September as well. Yes, if the Ministry of Education is paying attention, we're going to try to send this to the ministry. Good afternoon. My concern is about the college students at Cyril Potter College. I have to read this back. Of education, especially the students staying in the dorms because they're scheduled to reopen in September as well. We have not heard whether there's going to be a school reopening. This is a conversation we need. I think we're going to have results of the CAPE and the CSEC and the National Grade 6 out in a couple of weeks, maybe as early as next week. We're supposed to see the National Grade 6 coming out. So we have to pay attention as to what happened to these students. Should we get ourselves ready, dig in our heels, and get ready for a couple more months of no school? The authorities need to be telling us very, very clearly what is it that we should be preparing ourselves for. In the meantime, let us go back and take some callers from the line. Yes, good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I just thought to find out, what about person who pay like $100,000 tax now? What happened with them?
Could you have your radio on?
No.
Okay. Who's paying 100,000 tax? What do you mean? I don't understand.
Okay, my father got a shop,
Uh-huh.
and the tax people come and ask them how much profit or whatsoever, right? And the GRA people then, and he tell them $2,500. And when they do the calculation, they put $25,000. And now when you go and tell them, and so there's still $2 million tax, now they give you 2 years for pay it, and $96,000 a month.
Well, I'm not sure. I think within GRA, I could tell you something. Within GRA, why, if you have an issue with the taxes that they have assessed you, you could be able to, how you say it, you could be able to appeal it, and there are ways that you could fight against it. You have to write them a letter, but it doesn't end there if somebody hands you a bill and say pay it. There are ways that you could appeal it and take it to the next level. Have you done that?
We think we write a letter to ask them certain things, right?
Uh-huh.
They still say we get to pay the money.
But I don't know what to say there to you, maybe, and what your accountant is saying.
Yeah, well, they may say the process take a long for come back and so and say how when the thing come back, maybe you could pay less or, but when it come back, it's the same 2 million.
You have to get you have to engage GRA, you have to engage your accountant because there's not something that we could really get in, but it's something that involves your accountant in GRA, and within GRA you should find out from them because I think there's a committee in which you could appeal to, and they would normally look at it. But I'm going to try to get some more information on that. I need to familiarize myself, but the little that I know is that you have the possibilities of appealing.
Okay. So you got to appeal to GRA.
Right, I think they're going to be able to tell you. They have a mechanism there in which you could appeal whatever it is that they assess you, and they would look back at everything. If you have your receipts and everything, they would look back at it and they could tell you what you assessed for. I can't tell you otherwise than that. But I'm going to try to get some information. But you should try to just contact GRA and ask them how do you go about appealing what you think and start the process. But you need to get your accountant too.
Okay. All right, then, thanks.
Thank you very much, dear. Thank you very, very much, dear. Interesting question, and we're hearing all kinds of questions coming out about taxes, about conditions, and good afternoon, bro. I think the ministry should come to all the NDCs and let the people go there and give the name because of the passages and the COVID-19 situation. When do you think we'll get the school uniform money? Good questions. I think there's a new Minister of Education. She started work this morning. We got to ask her about this too. With regards to the NDCs, we have raised the issue of the role of the NDCs. The NDC is supposed to know very clearly how many homes they have in the area, how many people live in there, who's living at what particular street and so on. They're supposed to know because they have an NDC there. Here the problem is. We're not sure why there's a standard area in which you have to go, like the Ministry of Social Protection, that you have to go register there. Why can't the NDC be playing a big role to know who are the vulnerables within the particular community? They're supposed to know. You're supposed to know if Kevin living in the area, if he's not doing well, if he lost his job. That is what NDCs are there for. Or if not, this COVID-19 has really brought out some weaknesses. Conversation, we need to have a talk about all of this too, because when you put the people them in there to work, they come to you and ask you to vote for them for the local government elections. It's not just dig a drain or to weed the parapet. It has to be having the social programs, having programs in which the community could be uplifted. You got to pay your taxes, you got to do among other things. And talking about that, we have to look back at the laws that we have, the local government laws, and let the NDCs understand that they have a lot of powers and they could do things. Are the councillors up to it? Do they know that they have a duty to the people? Do they know the powers? All of these things that people need to start discussing. Let's not just leave it as that. I think there's some other callers. Let's go again. Caller, you on the air. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
Pretty good, sir.
Okay. I'm calling. Congratulations to the new government. And I heard you been talking about work, construction work, and bad work. That's I have noticed we are paying for A-grade quality, and the work is of nearly a substandard work. I have talked with some of these supervisors who working on the road project, and they asked who I am to ask them such a question. I need the media should be more often on these projects.
Well, you have a duty. You have a duty to, sir, and all citizens. If you're living in a community, it's not the media there. You guys literally have the power to ask, what is it that you're doing there? What is this project? Especially if the people that just come up here. Like I had my street repaired. That's because I picked up the phone and I called the NDC. Then I called the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and I said, I am begging you. I begged, and every week I used to call them and beg and beg. And when they actually come, I went to them and said, what is it that you were told to do? And they went through step by step. We have a decent road now. When I see people mixing cement and so, I stop and said, is that your road? This road belongs to the people. So you have some kind of authorization there as a citizen of this country to raise questions.
Yes. I have been to Barbados and worked a little on some works projects in Barbados. I work on the boardwalk in Barbados. And there I work with engineers, I work with planners, I work with supervisors, bosses, and a lot of, let me say, health and safety workers and all kind of things. I myself was a health and safety worker in Barbados. That in Guyana is lacking. Lately I heard about some incident where persons died, one taking down a structure, another one sitting on a shed somewhere, and the health and safety is first. Like I said, I was a health and safety worker in Barbados. I was a supervisor, and I went and do a little ill work. When I say ill work, there was a piece of steel, half-inch steel, stopping the form from being installed.
Right.
Because of the steel, right? The steel was in the way, the half-inch steel. There is a metal disc and a concrete disc to work on the angle grinder. So I didn't have the metal disc to cut the steel, so I used the masonry disc.
Right.
Why? Because only that I had at the time, and only one piece of steel there. They're stopping the project or holding up the project. Within 5 minutes after I did that, I was called to the office to answer why I used the masonry disc to cut that steel. I told them, being a supervisor, I said, I took it on myself. I didn't put nobody's life at risk because the masonry disc could have shattered and caused injuries. So I told them, I took it on myself, right? But I said, sir, you know you are a supervisor, and to maintain you and your family is much more costly because you are being paid a higher price than the laborers. And if there is not the right equipment, leave the project. Safety first.
Absolutely. And so I hear you what you're saying there. And we have to, these, like I said before, there's so many things that are coming out now, so many issues that are coming out now. And we want to continue having these conversations as we go forward. Unfortunately, we're running out of time now. But thank you very much for coming through there, caller. And let us continue. And you feel free to call this call.
I tried several times. This is
I know.
I get to.
We have a new line. We are going to start with that as early as next week with 2 lines in. And so we want the people to have the station here. We continue.
Since I'm in the construction business, right? I would like to see safety for workers.
Yes, I agree with you. And thank you very much, dear caller. Do have a pleasant rest of the day until.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we have run out of time. I'm being told by our technicians here, and so let us. We are going to be back with you tomorrow. Denelli is going to be back, and we are going to, of course, continue where we have left off. We want to continue the conversation as to how do we move this country forward. What is it that you expect your government to do? How is it that you expect your opposition to perform? Who's the opposition leader? We need to have these questions answered. And this is all part of waking up ourselves in this beautiful country. So welcome. We thank you for joining us today on the Wake Up Guyana program. My name is Leonard Gildarie, and I've been your host. It's been a pleasure over the last 2 hours. We are going to be back with you tomorrow at 1:30, so we could continue the conversations on issues of development in Guyana. Thank you for joining us wherever you would have joined us from, inside and outside of Guyana. A good day to you, and a good day to Dr. Yog Mahathir too, if you're listening, sir. Good day to you.
Win $100,000 monthly with Sleepy Sanitary Pads. Sleepy Sanitary Pads are all natural and are made with cotton and bamboo fibers. It is dye and lotion free, hence no irritations or rashes. Sleepy Sanitary Pads are available in 2 sizes, ultra thin and thick. It is affordable and available nationwide. See press for details. Visit our Sleepy South America Facebook page or call us on 233-2473.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.